The magic begins.
Here we are.
Here we are. Welcome, Mr. Niko Stephen.
Thank you, sir.
I forgot the @ sign. I have an instrumental here for you.
I believe Jehovah Jireh. I believe there's heaven. I believe in war. I believe a woman's temple gives her the right to choose, but baby, don't abort. I believe the marriage is ends between a man and woman, but between love and love. And I believe you when you said that you lost all faith. You must believe in something, something, something. Gotta believe in something, something, something. I still believe in men. A wise one asked me why. Just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try, the girls try, the boys try, women try, men try, you and I try, we all try. Don't believe in time travel. Don't believe our nation's flag is on the moon. Don't believe our lives are simple. I don't believe the short, this is interlude. Don't believe my hands are cleanly. Can't believe that you would let me touch your heart. You didn't believe me when I said that I lost my faith. Must believe in something, something, something. Gotta believe in something, something, something. Oh, why don't ask me why? Yes. Just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try. The girls try, the boys try, women try, men try. You and I try, yes, try. We all try. Try to believe. Just try to believe. I do believe. Yes. Check.
Woo! Oh, that's a teaser for later.
I got choked up a little bit. I got caught up in my breath, bro.
Oh, I thought you meant choked up. You were thinking of someone.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Positive. 100%.
This is also the KuyaChris Love Advice podcast.
I might have learned a couple things, bro. I'm still learning.
Learning? I meant love advice that I'm getting love advice. What do you think this is?
It's a two-way street, man. Always learning.
We always a student.
Always a student.
Always a student. So, welcome fam. Thank you for blessing us with that piece. That was Frank Ocean's We All Try. That's a classic.
Yeah, man. I put that instrumental together today at work, like in between classes, working with the students, and then I was like, man, I don't have anything new that I can show KuyaChris. So then I was like, man, I need to whip up this little flip the way that I would do it. I'll be covering a lot of stuff. I need to do more originals, and I need to tap into my voice a little more, but yeah.
But that was clean. How come you chose Frank Ocean? How come you chose We All Try?
I think I chose that piece because I think with everything going on in the world, it's just hella easy to get discouraged. And I think definitely after graduating, I just hit that slump. Like last year I graduated from Berkeley, and
not really having a real direction of like where I wanted to go. And I think during this last year, because of my best friend, my mom, and just my family in general, it's like those three things mainly. Oh, my Lolo too, so 4. Kind of reinstilled my faith in a new way. Like I've tried to find my new relationship with God, and redefining what that looks like. Because I feel like I fell out of faith for a very long time growing up. Like, growing up very Catholic, I just kind of fell out of love with the church. I felt guilty for not going sometimes, and like. But now I think following the Christian faith is a lot more digestible for me and a lot more applicable to how I see the world. So I chose that piece because Frank Ocean is dope.
Frank Ocean is dope.
And you don't see him very often.
I know, this guy needs to get out of his little cave.
His little hermit.
I know. Supposedly, he's already recorded another thing. Like, that's the rumor that he's like, yeah, I've recorded it, but I'm just not releasing it. Like, that's this little secret thing. He said, I'm going to release that thing by the time, I'm going to record an album by the time I'm 30 or something. And then people are like, hey, you're 30 already. Yeah. And then he goes, I never said I'm going to release it.
Right.
So it's like that little secret thing.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, just a lot of the buzz about Frank Ocean came when he came out as bisexual. Right. And so I didn't think of that. Like,
that's the power of Tumblr.
No, he came
out of Tumblr, man.
That was crazy, bro. I remember 2011, like 2012. Those were the days, bro. With all the swag memes.
Yo, and I was at the concert in LA like a few days after that because he released it right before he had this concert for the Channel Orange, if I remember right. And then I remember people were just talking about it, like on the hype of and on the zeitgeist, right, of what we're talking about. Just so crazy how that overtakes it.
Yeah, and that's real too, because I feel like that's one of the reasons. I can't assume nothing because I don't know, and we're not him, but he maybe because of how the industry system is, right, that when all that buzz came about, he kind of had to be a recluse to kind of diminish his outward appearance to just work on what he wants to without having anybody kind of provide any input. And you think about how many artists are just like, great capital off of their social capital, right? Like their presence on social media especially. Frank Ocean has none of that, and he's still a fucking genius. Sorry, I'm saying.
Yes. You've had a lot worse.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because Frank Ocean, as soon as he puts something out, everybody's on it.
Yeah.
And he'll put stuff out like
that Moon River.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it like in full, but I've seen it.
Yo, it's clean. It's a classic, right? It's crazy that he's taking these old songs, redoing it, and then it becomes a classic for our generation. And then people be putting it on a 6-hour loop on YouTube, like a Moon River 6-hour loop, and that's how it plays. People listen to it just in the background and stuff like that. It's just so like powerful, his influence. Yeah, in that sense.
And I think that's, I don't know, being behind the scenes, that's kind of what I want to do a little bit more.
What do you mean?
I feel like, and we could talk about this later, but being in Blue Devils, as a drum major for that group, it was something where I was like literally always in the forefront and always in their spotlight, that I just realized it took a lot of energy out of me. I liked it when I was in the moment, but I think after looking back on it now, I think I'm more of an introvert than I thought I was.
Wait, so you're saying when you said that's more of what I want to do? Yeah. Like you want to be in the background in terms of, but still be doing music. Yeah. Doing creativity work.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't know. It's a hard thing, right? Because you got to get your stuff out there, and it's not that I don't have time to do it. I just need to make the time for it. There's a difference between those two things. But being behind the scenes, I think it's just, I don't have to get caught up in worrying about the perception of what other people have of me. And that's one thing I'm trying to get out of the mind state of, is kind of just trusting my own word and my own creativity, and then reaching out for help when I needed. And then kind of just like creating a catalog. Because I used to just create hella stuff all the time and always put it out. But then I would have nothing, like, for months, and I would just not put out anything. But I need to just start creating more. And it's hard though, because you gotta work, you gotta make money in this world, especially in the Bay, right? Don't even get me started.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit. We got a little bit of the creative side, right? But let's do a little, what I call the identity theft round. We just get a little background info of who you are, right? In the bigger context, right?
Okay.
Alright, so, well, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Okay. My full name is Niko Stephen, Angelis Martinez.
Birth date, social security number.
Social security number. Cannot be disclosed.
What's your sign? I'm a
Taurus. I was born in April 21st,
okay.
1995. I just turned 23.
Hey.
That was good, yes.
All the time.
All the time.
That was good. I didn't even grow up doing that, but I just know it.
I was born actually in Michigan.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I lived in Michigan for 4 or 5 years.
How come your parents were there?
Yeah, so my parents went together in high school and met each other in Fremont.
In high school?
In high school at Urban
Now that's local Bay Area Filipinos right there.
Yeah, and then so my parents graduated high school. They had me, I think, around 19, 20. Before that, my dad's dad moved to Michigan for a new job. So then, as soon as my parents found out that they were having me, they uprooted from the Bay and moved out to Michigan to just kind of have some help.
Yeah.
My mom is the one who immigrated when she was 12, and my dad is second generation. Because his parents are the ones that immigrated from the Philippines. So that makes me, I guess,
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, kind of. So
2.5.
So math major, help us.
I mean, regardless, I wasn't the one who immigrated, and I think recognizing that has been crucial in me kind of finding that identity for myself when it comes to being Filipino American, right? So I was born in Michigan. I remember parts of it, like a lot of snow, a lot of tornado warnings, living in a basement when that shit would happen. And in 2000, so my parents are both nurses, or in some capacity. So they had gone to school for that in Michigan. And so...
Not surprising at all. Or actually very surprisingly, your Filipino parents are nurses?
I know, yeah. So it's
I said to make a joke there.
It's a joke, but
shout out Nanai!
Shout out to my mom, shout out to my dad, shout out to my whoever.
Yeah, cousin.
Yeah, and I think, well, we can talk about that later, about like, you know, common trajectories and the history of people living in the Philippines to go do nursing.
Yeah.
But, so I moved to the Bay, Union City specifically, in 2000, and I've been there since.
I think Union City is like the second most populated in terms of Filipinos concentration-wise.
Next to Daly City.
Next to Mecca. Capital where we have 2 Jollibees.
Yeah. No, that's real. I think it's just crazy because I think I've realized that I've had a lot of opportunities growing up, especially within the Bay, and both of my parents having pretty financially stable jobs.
Did you grow up around Filipinos, like in Union City?
Yeah, mixed. A lot of Filipinos, but I think I could say that I was always a people person.
Which high school, Logan?
Yeah.
See, I know where they all go!
Yeah, no shame. That's where I'm from. That's my starting point.
See, the more I talk to Filipinos from the Bay, like, let me, I can be like a fortune teller Filipino, like, of like, where you come from, what do your parents do? If you don't sing, you dance.
Yeah, nah, I never dance, I was too chubby.
Hey! Chubby boys, let's go!
But yeah, so I mean,
I want to know when you got into music.
Yeah,
I know you said
yeah,
in high school time,
middle school. I think, bro, everybody in middle school was playing ukulele.
Really?
But my parents, so my dad was actually, I think on the side he was a DJ. So at home, he has all these records. Like he has I think a wall full of just cases of records. And so he would always DJ with like all of my uncles and all of his homies and stuff. And so
that's garage parties?
Kinda, yeah.
There's a dope book about that Union City, Hayward, Daly City, the Legions of Boom, and all the Filipinos who were DJs. And through house parties, through garage parties that really like uplifted the scene of DJing.
That reminds me of the mobile DJ movement, right? That started out in the I guess just
South City, Bay Area
in general.
Yeah.
But you had like two movements, one in Daly City and one in Union City. Like in that area at least. I don't think my dad was like strongly part of that. I mean, for him and my mom to have me so young, I kind of just pushed them to really just make their shit in check. But yeah, like growing up, we always played music in the house. My mom would always play music in the house. They were always singing.
Oh yeah? They were just singing? Like what were the tunes that you would hear? What was it like? Is it that R&B time?
R&B.
Yeah.
R&B, a lot of old R&B, like Jealousy,
Boyz II Men,
Jagged Edge,
Shy.
Yeah, Sade, Madu, Lauryn Hill. But then my dad was like always into hip hop too. So like.
But he would sing too.
Yeah. So he has a wide range of like music sounds that he kind of draws himself to, and so he was always into a lot of the older hip hop, like Pop, Biggie, Nas, Tribe. So that's kind of where a lot of my hip hop and R&B roots came from. It's just listening to what my dad had to put on, right? So like he would always be playing Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, like all that. It's crazy because I don't think I realized how accustomed my ear is to just hearing sounds like that. But then also just listening and sharing music with all of my homies growing up, like from middle school especially. We would always just like sit around and lunch and just play hella loud music. And so I grew up around a lot of Filipinos, but then also I think just inherently being a people person, I always just like met new folks. I was just quick to connect with them, just, naturally.
Like through music?
Through music, but also just learning and trying to listen to who they are, where they come from, and establish a very human connection to people. I think being chubby growing up
forces you.
Yeah.
Forces you to be funny. Why do you think I have so many jokes?
Bruh, like that's so fucking real, dude. Like
I saw there was this tweet yesterday, last night, right? It was like talking to girls. This girl posted, she was like, "You may not be the prettiest face in the room, but you can be the kindest one."
Yeah.
And like a kind one kindness is better to have than prettiness or whatever. Yeah. And then I was like, "Bro, you may not be the tallest in the room, but you can be the funniest one."
Yeah. That was me. I was always like short to stout, very wide. I always had husky pants on, and I think I used to meet it with a lot of insecurity, but now I kind of embrace it as like, this is me. That's kind of the last year has been me trying to learn how to be unapologetically and authentically myself. And that's hard.
You played ukulele too?
Yeah. So middle school I started in band. So 6th grade I was auditioning for all these different instruments. I remember going to my middle school gym, trying out different instruments to see what would be most fit. My first instrument ever was tuba. And so playing that big old brass instrument really got me interested in just like the fundamentals of what it means to be a bassist. Somebody that plays the root of every song. And so I played tuba all throughout middle school, learned how to pick up guitar and ukulele at the same time, just outside of the concert band room. in high school, I continued to play tuba and was like really heavily involved within marching band all 4 years. And then my second semester of my freshman year, one of the band directors at Logan's campus asked me if I wanted to start playing string bass. And so that's when I learned how to pick up and play string bass, upright bass, like that big old thing. And that was like a very hard process because I had to learn how to adjust my ear to listen to the fine tunings of how to play that instrument, because there are no frets on violins, cellos, string basses, etc. None of those instruments have frets, right? So it's all just a flat rose board. It's not like a guitar where you can see where you're putting your fingers. So I learned how to play classically, but I really fell in love with jazz band. So they had me jump into jazz band my sophomore year, and I don't think I was ever the strongest player technically, but I felt like I always had a really good ear for just what sounded good and what fit, whether it was melodically or learning how to play bass lines that kind of fit with the music in general. So I'm very blessed to kind of have that foundation of music, and the marching band was a whole other thing. That's kind of where I
What do you think drew you into like wanting to join band in the first place? What was it?
I tried choir in elementary school. That was fun. So then when high school came, or when middle school came, my mom was like, okay, you gotta choose what you want to do. I was doing martial arts at the time, and my dad wanted me to do something else, both my mom and my dad. And I think it was either band, choir, or activity wheel. Activity wheel is where you can do all the cool shit. Right?
What's that?
All the cool activities like, wood shop.
Activity wheel? So is that like you just change activities every
quarter or semester?
Oh.
Fucking underwater basket weaving, bro.
Underwater basket? What?
Just joking.
I was trying to envision that. It's like, why are they doing that?
Nah, yeah, so...
It's to keep the fabric really loose.
Yeah, so...
So the coconut fibers are hydrated. Oh my god.
Yeah, so, the band directors in high school, they would always make that joke. They were like, do you know practice? Do you want to go join underwater basket? I was like, they didn't fucking class. That's not true at all. But yeah, so I think, out of those three, I think, I had tried choir, and my mom was like, don't do activities that you don't know what you're going to be doing, or it's going to change all the damn time. Do band. I was like, alright, cool, I'll do it.
Did they play musical instruments?
My mom didn't. My dad, I think, learned a little bit of piano growing up. But he made me DJ. And they were just always singing. I guess if you count an instrument, voice. Yeah. So, but I've been trying to just pick up new instruments. I've only recently learned how to play a little bit of piano. I think having the foundation of jazz, that's kind of where I learned how to, just learn a little bit more. So, yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, what were the shifts, especially when you got into like jazz? Yeah. And then how do you because I know you said that's like your main, like where you learned a lot of the music, like one of the, and it really like influences your music like right now. Yeah. Like what about it specifically?
Just the way that the melodies fit into the pocket, just the way that the music grooves and feels. I think that's something that I really picked up from jazz, is that, there could be all this notation on paper, all of these things composition-wise that are created for you to follow, everything that the author or composer wants you to follow, but it's really up to the players in the group to follow what you feel organically and create something that vibes as a whole. And so that kind of is what plays into my head when I'm creating a body of work, is how can I create a whole art piece and not just, do something robotically. And it's hard, right? Like with the way in which you create music now, it's a lot easier on a laptop to do it. But you could easily lose that human feel if you're just doing everything on a grid, right? And so jazz is very much off the grid. It's how you feel it, right? I remember the director, he was saying stuff like, you gotta feel it and you just gotta fit in the pocket, like, and I'm like, that's not what the paper says. What do you mean? He goes, listen. And so we would listen to a lot. That's one thing that I picked up from that group, is that the more you listen to, the more you'll be able to pick up, right? And that's kind of a philosophy of life, and also music is just trying to keep your ears open and mind open to anything that's coming your way, right? So I think with being in jazz band specifically, I learned a lot of chord voicings that were kind of weird and not and very unorthodox. Learned a lot of rhythmic patterns that
what
were.
are your favorite voicings?
Oh, shit. Minor 7 chords, like, always my favorite. They're simple, but they just have this certain color to them that really just shines in a very subtle way. And you feel it if it's paired with a really nice, like, laid back groove. It's really dope. Like, a lot of my music, none of it is really happy.
What do you mean?
Like, it melodically, you can hear that it's not. Maybe some of it is happy, but I think, when you're thinking major versus minor keys, I do a lot of my stuff in minor keys just because I feel like that kind of encapsulates the mood that I'm in. Since music has always been hella therapeutic, and like, it was the class that I look forward to most. It was the time period in the day that I, felt the most whole. And sometimes it was an escape for me to come out of, like, just regular school. I was doing pretty well in school, but band, I think, is where I was having the most fun. But jazz in particular, that was a good time for me to just learn different styles of music. So we were playing a lot of Latin, a lot of ballads, a lot of swing, like classic jazz, a lot of funk. And that was the hardest because, that's like, when you listen to really good funk bands, like back in the day, the music is like all over the place, but they make it seem so flawless. And so, like, when we're trying to play it as young musicians trying to learn, it's just hella hard. Like, there's so many notes on the paper, but the professional musicians, they just do it so much and practice so often that it's just second and third and fourth nature to them to just learn how to do that right. So I'm very grateful. I probably should have practiced a little bit more. But
during high school?
Yeah, I never took practicing very seriously. I don't regret it, but I think looking back, I probably could have practiced a little bit more. I think I was just too inherent of relying on, like, my natural ability to feel the groove, to feel the music, that I didn't put enough of a technical foundation in the music itself, which I'm trying to make up for now a little bit, with stuff that I'm producing currently.
So, for example, like you said, like the music that you did, like, especially when it's jazz, it was like off the grid in comparison to a lot of the on the grid computer production now, right? How do you include that style in, for example, this production that you just did a while ago?
Yeah.
Right. What are different ways that you try to, like, put some life into this computer production? Especially when you're doing your instrumentals and things like that, knowing your fundamental background on it.
I think a lot of it just kind of comes from being able to create shit that sounds human, right? Because you could tell when you have something that's like a metronome that's just playing as a backbeat, super simple. One thing that I've been doing a lot lately is just incorporating different percussive sounds, different piano keys. A lot of jazz that I've been used to playing is like a lot of electric piano heavy, and a lot of the current R&B that I've been listening to it's just like real jazzy in terms of the chord structures. That's one thing I'm trying to learn more, is how to incorporate different chord structures and progressions, and just listening to a lot more.
Who are your top R&B right now?
Oh, shit.
You've been listening to, and who you feel is on the grind? Music of the week.
Music of the week.
Niko.
I've been bumping a lot of Sir from TDE. SIR. He released a body of work last year called November. There's a track on there called War that's really dope, produced by Mind Design. They're both from LA. That track is super dope. It's called War by Sir. His entire album is super dope. It's like he has a very sultry voice, very just silky smooth, and it pairs well with the production. It's like very subtle and laid back. Another one of my favorites right now, Mac Ayers. He's from New York. That dude, he can sing. Like and he can play instruments really well.
Doesn't he produce?
Mac Ayers mainly plays keys. He has a drummer and a bassist and a guitarist, but he plays guitar too. But his voice is just like so damn smooth. Like y'all, you should listen to that. He's just been touring. Like he just has a very blessed voice. He did a show I think a couple months ago with Jeff Burnett.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he opened up. He opened up for
Burnett.
him in L.A. I remember listening to that dude too back in like 2010.
Man, shout out to Jeff Burnett. He's on his grind. He's one of those like from the older days who's still doing it like well right now.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
consistently.
And he's one of the few folks that have kind of branched away from just doing YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think when YouTube all started, you had a lot of Filipino Americans, I think, especially just taking over YouTube with
they were killing
covers
it.
and originals and stuff like that, that they kind of could be easily caught in that world of just staying within YouTube. That's actually where I got a lot of the start of like my sound and music and shit from. Like my homies and I would only play one Gay Bondoc song. Like,
Lemonade?
No, and Passion's Lemonade too.
Lemonade, yeah.
Gay Bondoc's I don't remember the. I could play it, but I don't remember
the name of it.
I don't remember the name of it.
I
only know what it sounds like.
Well, sing it a little bit. What was it?
Is it my fault I can't speak? That my body becomes weak, or that I can hardly move at the very thought of you.
Woo! I feel like those folks like really created love for our generation. Like on some real thing, like I'm pretty sure they were the soundtrack to a lot of middle school relationships.
I agree.
Like, and high school, like for us, our age, because they're a little bit older than us. Like they really like put us there,
right?
Like on screen that we could actually watch, like, because we're not on TV, right? You don't see Filipinos up there, but we finally had someone that looks like us killing it on the screen,
and that was crazy.
YouTube screen,
and I think that was a very big inspiration, just seeing them do their thing, and that was one thing that I was like, okay, I'm gonna make YouTube. I never did it though. I think it's a lot of work. Well, not a lot of work, but maybe I just didn't fall in love with it. But seeing a lot of their stuff, like I remember seeing Gabe, Lee J, and Passion do their GLP medley, where Lee J would beatbox, Gabe would play guitar, and Passion would play keys. I was like, this shit is dope. It's so good, and it's like. It's all music that we love to hear, and it's weird because like Filipinos really love R&B.
Yes,
I don't know why, but you hear a lot of that shit is like, you know, weddings.
I think it's because it's very close to like harana, like old school Filipino ballads. That's like true. And a lot of current ballads. Like Filipinos love ballads.
Yeah.
And then R&B was the one that most closely resembled like that feeling, that the vibe of it, and it had a little hip hop influence that like our generation loves. Right. So I think that really pulled.
That's true. Man, you know, I think especially just growing up, I can't say for myself that I have close ties to the motherland, right? And and I'm trying to learn. I just gotta go to the Philippines, right?
Have you ever been?
Nah. I have to go, and I think, and it's crazy, right? Because for a lot of our homies, for yourself too, as we've talked before, is that the Philippines is also home for you. But I've never felt that sentiment, right? And so, but then learning more about how the identity of being Filipino is so fluid, right? I think it's less of a thing for me to feel guilty about, and to just come into acceptance and like everything that's with it. So like one piece of that is learning about harana, right? Like serenading, like literally courting somebody.
Man, I wish I just want to do that. God damn, that's like half my Instagram posts are like subtweet haranas, bro.
One day.
If you only knew who you were.
One day, bro. One day.
One day. I hope you know that song was for you, but you will never know.
Then that's the thing, right? Like, I think it's so crazy how deeply ingrained it is, and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like we love the spotlight, bro. Right.
But the thing is, half of the time we gonna be saying that shit cheesy, bro. On the outside, that shit cheesy, man.
Yeah.
But inside you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
we just love being out there, and so I don't know. I really grew up in like R&B and that really just permeates a lot of the stuff that I create. I'm trying to get more into. I've done like a lot of weird electronic shit.
Oh yeah.
Just cause like that's what I've been listening to as of late. A lot of the stuff on SoundCloud is like old 90s music flipped with a lot of hard 808s and trap drums. Like, and a lot of it is just like
the floor.
Yeah. Like, not only that, but there's just a lot of stuff that I've been listening to where it's really bass heavy, and I think just really angular in terms of its sound. So I'm trying to move away from that a little bit and go into more R&B, hip hop type stuff. That's kind of what my goal has been lately. I need to write more. I really do need to write more.
As a segue, could I ask you to do the easily cover?
Yeah.
That I have for you. And this is because we were just talking. This is Mac Ayres, right?
No,
Bruno Major.
This is Bruno Major. Yeah, okay. Mac Ayres. I
know I was listening to a few Mac Ayres one on my Spotify. Like, I've been on this thing too. Like, vibes of music really affect almost your daily life. Like, if you put together a playlist, right, of like, I think it's almost the frequency that you're putting your body in, listening to the same music, the same thoughts, the same sounds, right? Like, if you're on the hustle, you can have a hustle playlist of like Jay-Z, like on his grind, right?
Yeah.
And then I created this, like, I went through a breakup and I created this moving on playlist. I played that for a few months and I started feeling better.
Yeah.
Then I created a new boo playlist. And then those are like the new, like, you're interested in someone type feels. And then things in my life kind of move in that direction.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of like magical and odd at the same time. But almost in your power. Like, if you be listening to the same music and you curate it for yourself, it's like you can. Yeah. I think you can almost create the life that you want.
I feel that completely. Like, man.
Why? What music you be listening to?
Honestly, I've been keeping Daniel Caesar's album on repeat.
Who?
Daniel Caesar.
Oh, word! I feel you.
The whole Freudian body of work has been.
Dude, the production on that is so smooth too. Yeah. It's not over the top.
Yeah,
it's just clean.
That whole album, I think, sonically, lyrically, and emotionally, all those three things kind of embodies what you just said, right? Like, and it embodies all those different emotions that you just talked about, right? Like the inception of love, and how it's a very it's not something you can logic your way into or out of, right? And it makes you do crazy shit, right? And things that are beyond, I think, what we're conscious of. And that's what I've been realizing too, is like, it's hard. It's never easy, right? And
what's hard?
Just love. I want to ask you that question.
What question?
I'll save it. It's a good question that my best friend always asks me.
Okay.
And we're like, but I'll save it. I'm gonna wait
For the right moment.
for the right moment.
Okay, don't forget it. I want to know what the
No,
question is.
trust me, I have it at the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe after maybe after the song, once we get into the vibe of love and we talk a little bit about love.
This is a breakup song though, bro. You already know.
Oh yeah, it's a breakup question. What?
No. This song, not Bruno Mars.
The Easily.
I know.
Yeah.
Bruno Major's Easily is a
Breakup song.
kinda, in a way,
We all have those. We all go through it.
for sure.
Bless us. Okay, wait. Let me get this. And you produced this. You produced the instrumental.
Yeah.
in
So
the sense.
for Easily, I just basically produced the whole thing. Took the original and flipped it on his head.
Dope. All right. Let's do this.
I don't think there's a word for what that is.
Actually, there is a word for that. It's love. I'm in love with her, okay? If you're looking for the word that means caring about someone beyond all rationality and wanting them to have everything they want, no matter how much it destroys you, it's love. And when you love someone, you don't stop, ever. Even when people
So
roll their
sad.
eyes or call you crazy, even then, especially then.
How I Met Your Mother.
You don't give up, because if I could give up, if I could just take the whole world's advice and move on and find someone else, that wouldn't be love. That would be some other disposable thing that is not worth fighting for. But that is not what this is.
Don't you tell me that it wasn't meant to be. Call it quits, call it destiny, yes. Just because it won't come easily, it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Hey. Check. We've had a good thing going lately. Might not have always been a fairy tale, but you know, I know that they ain't real. I'll take the truth over the story. You might have tried my patience lately. I'm not about to let us fail. I'll be the wind picking up your sail. But won't you do something for me? Don't you tell me that it wasn't meant to be. Hey. Call it quits, call it destiny, yes. Just because it won't come easily doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Yeah, coming and going, inside out, back to front. Oh, tangled and messy, that's how we've been and will always be. That's alright with me. Don't you tell me that it wasn't meant to be. No. Call it quits, call it destiny, yes. Just because it won't come easily doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Let's try again. Oh, ooh, ooh, la, 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 ooh, ooh, ooh. Da, da, ba, ba, da, 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 ooh, la, da, ooh, ooh, yeah. Oh. That song always makes me so sad.
Hey, I mean, some real shit. Things don't come easily.
Nah.
But is that really a breakup song?
I don't know. I think it's maybe like
it's like in the middle
middle
of a fight.
ground.
Yeah, right.
Middle ground. I think I had covered this one like.
Were you going through something?
Yeah, me and this person, we were going through something, and I think that was like a very, very deep relationship that her and I shared. Thankfully, her and I are still best friends, still super close. But I think that it was only a year, but that year felt like 10, bro. Like it literally felt like 10 years. Just in terms of learning, I think about myself, her learning about herself, and learning about each other. One thing that I think I came away with definitely is that as men of color, how can we not put the work that we got to do with ourselves upon somebody else? Right? Like, and I've fallen culprit to that, right? And just, I think, learning to undo a lot of intergenerational things of like, for one thing, dishonesty or lying. Like, that's shit that, you know, we would always just throw under the rug. And I've done that, right? And that's like, me accepting that is step one of me learning to do that. And then for the both of us too, right? Like, but this song, it was like a call to action. I was like, please hear me. I'm making this shit for you to listen to. And I'm meaning everything that I'm saying, right? Like,
see, that's that Harada shit.
Yeah. And it's, bruh, like, if this is what love feels like, it's this song, you know? That it's never easy. Like, why is it that we've fallen into the idea of what a perfect love could look like and trying to emulate that when that is far from what we live in this world? I have a question for you.
What's the question?
What is love for you?
What is love? Is this a question that your friend asks?
Yeah.
I think love
hard.
is like
Think hard.
it is rooted in acceptance and growth and like seeing the beauty in another person or yourself, right? Because there are the different types of love, right? And I'd like that Kehlani song, can't nobody love somebody that do not love themselves, right? And I do think on some level there's a certain amount of self-love that is necessitated for you to actually authentically love another being, another person. And the love that gets propagated in media is somewhat like it's cute. Like, especially in a lot of ukulele songs, right? It's perfect, but then it's not comprehensive in like the different aspects of love. Like, sometimes love is challenging, where you have to challenge the other person for growth.
Yeah.
Sometimes love is accepting their flaws too, and accepting them for who they are, and not trying to change them. There's that brotherly love. See, I don't know. I don't know if you can like distill it to something, to like a singular answer, because it's so multifaceted that there's so many things at play. Like even brotherly love, right? Like, how come I can't tell my brother I love you? Or how come I was not socialized like that, right? Now I do, but then how come I wasn't able to before? How come when I try to kiss a brother like on the cheek saying goodbye, it's like, if they haven't grown up that way, it's like, oh, like that shit, that's gay, bro, right? And you get, no, I don't want to be gay, right? And that even if I grew up kissing my dad on the cheek, right? And changing in different places that we live in. And I think love is, but at the core of it, love is the most beautiful driving factor of things. If you can authentically love other people and approach situations with love, even if it's a stranger who's doing many shit, like, and understand that, okay, this is a person who has gone through life and has arrived at this position because of the conditions that they've gone through, you can still love them in the sense of like, all right, I gotta settle you down, but I'm doing it out of love.
Right.
Doing the actions out of love. Right. Like, I think it goes in line with this Filipino core value of kapwa. Right. Like kapwa tao. Like seeing yourself and other people and and understanding that, okay, if I love myself and I have that authentic ability to accept myself for who I am, and I see that I am actually you and these other people, then all right, I gotta learn how to love in a way that's beneficial for all of us.
Right.
And love and accept you like that.
Right.
And does that answer the question?
Kinda.
But
Well,
but it's totally different from like romantic love. That's another type of thing.
Well, what sets those things different?
It's the experiences within it that teach you the other facets of love, right? There's this idea of like the three truths, right? Like I show you this cup, this mug. You see a mug with a handle, right? That's your truth. I see a mug with writing on it. That's my truth on the side. And then there is the truth of what this mug actually is. And we don't really see it unless we see the other person's perspective. So I think that's what love is like too, where there's different parts and experiences of the whole concept or the whole being of love, that it kind of takes different relationships for you to experience it. Be like, oh, I can love this person as a friend. Oh, in a relationship, if I truly love this person, I ain't trying to change them. But then also maybe in a friendship, right? If my brother is doing whack ass shit, I love him enough that I'm going to try to change him for the better. But it's like a balancing act, because you don't want to be controlling to a partner and try to change them. Like, I want you to dress this way, act this way, like do this and that, because that ain't really love.
Yeah.
So it's such a...
Is it not though?
What is?
Like I don't know. I feel like maybe sometimes we just complicate the idea of what love is too much. I don't know why. Like I'm fascinated. I'm a romantic, bro. So
I feel it.
That's why I think it's a big question. I think what you were talking about just then is that idea of letting your ego go, right? Like letting your ego down to hear somebody else's perspective. But for me, that was a hard thing to learn how to do, just to drop that. And I respect those who are able to just let their ego down for their vulnerability and to allow themselves to embrace their fears and to like fully experience them, find something beautiful, because that's when love actually happens. It's all those things that you say, right? And also, I don't think that maybe it should come at the expense of others, right? There's a lot of maybe internal work that we have to do first to be able to fully be okay with here and not let somebody else feel that. And I think we talk about it a lot, but then we also do the opposite unconsciously, because it's there.
It's like ingrained.
Yeah.
And then we end up reproducing the same problematic shit.
Yeah.
And bro, I like, in terms of what you said as men of color reproducing fucked up intergenerational shit, like that's some real things. Like when you say that we got to do the work ourselves to do our own healing, so that we don't, because once we get into a relationship, those things transfer on. It's like I view it as a union, but then the shit that you carry starts getting carried by the other person and vice versa. So if we really are to do good in this world, especially when we talk about romantic love and relationships, I do believe that there is a certain amount of self-responsibility and healing that has to be done.
No doubt.
Like, and I agree with that concept, because
no doubt, because if that person's not there, what are you gonna do? That's what I fell in the trap of, right? Is like putting all my cards out on the table and placing it all in one person, because I think I fell into not having enough, or thinking of somebody as everything. One person is everything, when I have to have my own cup overflowing. Right? Like, and I don't think I realized that until within this last year, and being able to practice it. Like, I don't know, just even my homies, close people around me, just perpetuating fuck shit. Like, just Oh, you're cool, man. Just do all that. I'm like, what? No. But actually thinking and putting that into practice is very difficult.
See, what I wanted to ask you though, you say you are romantic, right?
Yeah.
I would say I'm that too, but I started questioning, where does your conception of being a romantic come from? Is that the socialization from these movies that put a certain image of what love or romance is to be? Because that, at least for me, that's what I felt like it.
Yeah.
What's your conception of what you mean by being a romantic, and where does that conception come from? What is that?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is somebody who never gives up in terms of love, and maybe even hopeless sometimes. Like somebody that who continues to press on and try to make shit work, right? Like, and sometimes one thing I think that was hard for me initially is just learning how to give space.
Yeah.
I think as somebody who always wants to talk shit out, like in the immediate, whenever there's a conflict, learning how to give space has been a hard but healthy thing for me to do when it comes to people, problems, relationship, etc. Right? But I thought being a romantic was like, we're only gonna fall into like this love idea, but trying to redefine that as somebody that just like, coming from with the intention of love, but then also recognizing the impact of that. That's like real. That's a different thing. Like, and that kind of comes through with my music and the way in which I try to interact in the world now. Right. One thing that was always brought to my attention: you could have the purest intentions. If your impact is fucked up, it doesn't matter, because you can still hurt somebody, right? And so I think that's one thing about mindfulness, right? It's not so much that you have to control every little piece of an outcome that's going to be happening, whether that's in an argument or shit that you go about in your daily life, but it's just like, it's just about what do you want to put into the world, right? Like what you may find funny to yourself might be really painful to somebody else. And that's I think what I've been learning about within the last 2 to 3 years. But like being a romantic, that's part of it. It's learning how to love somebody like they want themselves to be loved, not the way in which you perceive it, or how you want to be felt, or how you want to feel it be felt. English. Hello, sir. Mom, sir.
It like, cause I would say like there's a certain limit too, cause you said loving like persistently,
yeah.
Right? But what if the love that you want to give is not what they need and they don't want it anymore from you?
No is a perfectly good answer.
And so is it letting go,
yeah.
but still loving?
Yeah. I think a lot of beauty can come from that too, is redirecting that energy to yourself.
Yeah.
And taking a breath from everything that you're going through. Because when you're in such an emotional state, you feel everything in extremes. And that can tire you the fuck out. And will just keep you in a low place forever. And that's not healthy, right? Like, for anybody. And it's one of those things that feeling of breakup, bruh, you never want to wish upon even your worst enemy. You know?
Yeah.
But then you realize, like, okay, what is it? Not what this person did, not all the outside factors, but it's like, what do I have control over to make this situation better for me? Did I have enough for myself before all this shit went down for me to be okay in securing who I am for myself, knowing who I am for myself without having to have somebody else prescribe whatever they feel to it about me? And so, I don't know, man.
What do you mean?
Like I'm just thinking Dude, the whole fucking Daniel Caesar album is what's really...
It's been on your mind?
No, yeah. And I'm putting it in the middle of my DJ sets and shit because it's like, I need people to feel sad a little bit. But, like, that's the shit, man. It is one of the greatest things in the world. I think it all starts from really our parents. Psychologically, it really starts from our parents and what we see. And if they're separate, then you kind of that separation really fucks you up, dude. Like that's kind of been the case of what I've been trying to situate and just be with for myself. My parents have had a very on and off relationship, and so that kind of hits home, right? Like my parents are very dope and strong parents. They come together for all of our like events and stuff for me and my siblings. My younger siblings, I have 2. I'm the eldest. And on top of that too, I think the things that I've seen unconsciously growing up, I perpetuated either unhealthy behaviors in relationship or even just in the way in which I carry myself, right? Or trying to overcompensate for what I did not see. But yeah, and that's the hard piece to it, is trying to separate what we saw growing up and also learning that not the relationship that we share with the people around us is not the same in which we saw it growing up. And so we can't expect the same things. Expectations set you up for resentment. Vote that.
It's like that idea where as kids, we thought all the adults had the answers, right? And then you become an adult and you're like, dog, y'all were dumb as fuck. like, if I don't have my shit together now, y'all definitely didn't. And I thought y'all had the answers, right? Yeah. And then you realize, okay, they're humans. Then you start going through this compassion, right? Because I'll share, my parents also separated, right? And I think we talked about this before. And then like how I didn't have a model of what it meant to be a man in terms of as a partner. Yeah. Right. Like I had a model in terms of what a father is to a child, because my pops was still a good father in terms of hugging me, giving me love like that. But I didn't have like a good role model of what does it look like for a man to be in a healthy relationship with a woman in that like that specific context.
With their partner.
Yeah, with their partner. Right. And it's like, okay, now we have to do a joint process of deconstructing our own past to see what has influenced us, realizing how we either have improved on it or how we perpetuate similar cycles or similar behaviors, and then put in the work to improve or not. Yeah. Right? It's like we have to do our own therapy like from just this analysis. But the beauty of it is the reflection. Yeah. Right. We have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing that's been helpful for me is actually going to therapy. So I've been going, I think, for the past maybe 8 months, 9 months. And that's something that...
Does your insurance cover it?
Not with this guy. But since I'm living at home, I can still afford it. My insurance covers a portion of it. So learn about your insurance policy.
Learn about your insurance. Make the most out of that. But paying for that.
But I think that the biggest thing about therapy and counseling, right, is that it's all about building a relationship, right? So I felt like once the conversation about money started coming up with him, I was like, I don't think I want to leave this current state of what I've already built a foundation for to just start with somebody else, because just so that my insurance can cover it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think having that space of being in therapy has allowed me to learn how to be 100% honest with myself. And that is the most beautiful thing, because then I'm starting to learn how to carry that into the world. Like accepting all of what I've done wrong, everything that I fear, trying to slowly pick away at those experiences, my past, what we've seen growing up, and unpacking those things in that space, so that I can have a more wholesome experience with that, and not separating that from what might potentially trigger me in the present. Therapy's not for everybody, but it's been very helpful and beneficial for me.
But it's important to get that dialogue to see people actually using that service, because, right, Filipino community mental health and therapy has been hella stigmatized in terms of like, oh, you need therapy, or you need or depressed. Like, you're not depressed, you just need to be happy. You're stressed, or like things like that. It's been historically stigmatized in our community. Right?
And I think we're in a space now where we can really redefine everything that's been used to describe us, whether it's stigmas or any of these terms that kind of perpetuate inequities within communities and define all those things for ourselves without having somebody prescribe that to us. And that's one of those things. It's like if you need help, bruh, just get it. If you're not able to, reach out to somebody, especially a mentor or somebody that you can trust, to help guide you in the right direction so that they can point you to the resource that you might need, right? And that's a big thing, right? Because we always just toss shit under the rug, bro. Like, that sense of hiya in our community, bro, is so real, right? So even anything that you could think of that's not quote-unquote normal, it'll just stress you out even more, right? And so that's very real.
It is important that, like, you know, that people actually talk about it, though, and then, which I'm grateful that you're even just sharing, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, we did for the Filipino Mental Health Initiative, there's a group in the city, right? Yeah. It's just really realizing that the stigma has real effects on even the youth. That, like, here's a stat: in San Francisco, USD, Filipino girls have the highest rate out of all subcategories for suicide ideation and actual attempts of it. And that's crazy just to think about. That's within our community, and it's something that is not addressed, not talked about, because, like, the term that they always use, baliw siya, or like, which is crazy, right? Like, oh, baliw lang yan, just whatever, ignore it, right? Or they don't talk about mental health issues within the family, because they'll be the shame within the family, even, like, oh, you're a shame to the family if you're not doing this, you're not going to school, you're not achieving a certain amount, right?
Fuck
that. Louder for the people in the back, fam.
Fuck that. Man, like, I think,
but we are in a space, I think, that you were just saying, we are in that time and space where there are tools that we can now use to create the world that we want and the communities that we want.
It's hopefully, right? Like, that's nothing in this world is ideal.
Yeah.
But I think the work has to always not pessimistic. Hope is one thing, right? Because it could be hoping for something could be very passive. It's different than being proactive and trying to make your goal or intention come true. If you put intention to your hope, that's creating a goal. Because I can't say I want to be fit and just pray that I'm going to be fit. I'm going to stay chubby all my life, you know? But I'm still happy, right? Like, but it's like one of those things, depending on what faith you follow, or if you don't follow faith at all, I feel like everything in this fucking world just happens for a reason. And I think the more that you I've realized for myself, the more I go against the grain of what's going on, and the more attention I put to a certain situation, the less beneficial the outcome.
That's some love lesson too. That shit. You can learn so much about life through your attempts of love and, like, getting at people, right?
Yeah.
I realized that, bro, on, like,
what have you realized?
Epiphany shit. Like, if I force things, if I be talking about my crush, right, to hella people, and then I'd be, like, getting in my head of, like, trying to talk to this person in a certain way to get them to go out with me, like, make a little joke here and there that's like very intentional of, like, trying to get them to like me, it goes to the shitter. But then if I'm just chill, if I just focus on
be yourself,
be myself, even my weird ass self, right?
Ain't
With
nothing
hella
weird,
emojis and shit, right? It works. It just works. It's just like, what? Whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of these weird matrix codes that people tell you, right? Be yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Be authentic.
See, that's the thing, right?
But it's real lessons, but
Right.
you don't know how to use it. But it's once you live life, you're like, oh shit, that shit's true.
Don't we, as people, just complicate things too much?
Sometimes I think so.
I feel like we just like, for me, I realized I upper manage a lot of shit, right? Like I always try to think
Cerebral. Yeah.
think through all these situations, but it's like, look, bruh, calm the fuck down. Let it be, right? Just like, but I'm like, no, all this tension, right? And then all of a sudden, once I meditate a little bit, try to learn how to calm my anxiety a little bit, recall those things that I love doing, then it's just like, okay, just let the experience stay here for a little. Just let it go. Letting go, the art of letting go is, and the power of letting go is like one of the hardest lessons that reoccurs, right? I saw this one thing somewhere where it's like, you know, the universe will give you the same lesson over and over in different ways until you master it. Right?
That's the idea of reincarnation.
In a way, yeah. But one thing for me is learning how to be present, right? I think I've had very muted experiences with a lot of shit because I was too caught up in trying to capture it on my phone. Right? And so putting the phone down allows me to just really tap into like either the music that I'm listening to, the person I'm talking to, the space that I'm sharing with somebody, and being fully engaged in that. And that's like one step for me to be able to do that.
Is that what you were talking about a while ago when you were saying you were being a little reflective on your usage of social media and Instagram?
Yeah, for sure. I think every time shit would pop off, I would immediately take to like Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram in that consecutive order to just post how I'm feeling about some shit. And that's not healthy because then I'm just using it as a way for somebody else to kind of recognize that. And then I think unconsciously I'm trying to get people to ask me questions sometimes when I need to learn how to, as somebody who has a very strong support system in different ways, learning how to sit with those sentiments on my own and those experiences and just how I feel about them on my own through writing. That's what I've been trying to learn how to do. And getting less caught up with the man, social media really fuck you up. You know? Like I think we're so caught up in just receiving instantly, instant gratification of just, you know, photos that we post, content that we create, right? Like I want somebody to get this.
And the thought patterns get replicated in our own minds.
Right. Yeah. And so I realized that it's hard for me to take like a hiatus for so long. I was so in the spotlight for like 4 summers straight that
context, this is for Blue Devils. This is the competitive marching band and you were the conductor.
Yes. Thank you for that context. I was literally at the front of the field all 3 to 4 years, right? So a lot of people were asked to take photos with me, stuff like that. And so before I was just like always trying to post stuff about Blue Devils, about that experience. And I'm very blessed and grateful to have had that opportunity. And maybe I can talk about it a little bit more in a bit. But, you know, I think learning how to get away from what social media actually is or learning how to use it in a healthier way for myself, that's kind of been what I've been trying to do. Posting less, putting the phone down more, trying to find more joy in just being in the world, and unpacking my own shit without having to express it outwardly, with that initial raw emotion, which is valid, right? It's not like you can't do that, but am I doing this for somebody else to see? That's a question I gotta ask myself.
It's like a tool. Like, how are we actually gonna use this tool, right?
Yeah. How do you? Yeah. I mean, to each their own on how to use it.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about it?
I agree wholeheartedly that it can get too much. Like, I was just on it too much 2 weeks ago, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, I be vibing with somebody and like I be checking my story if they've seen it, and then I like get caught up and just scrolling too, and like going through it all, posting on Twitter. Like, I realize that there is like a healthy level of usage of it. Like, what is the purpose? And for some people, and even for me, I like the concept of sharing for either inspiration or your creativity, like a very specific intention for sharing. But when I end up using it as an immediate vomit of like how I feel about a certain topic, like what you just said, especially on Twitter, it's just like bam, bam. It's not really thought out about like the implications of this or the impact of this or why I'm actually posting it. That's where it gets bad in the sense. And like it's also though like very scientifically backed to make us addicted to it. All the reds, they're all endorphin rushes, all the notifications, and having them, they even change what gets a notification, what you get a notification for, so that it gives more chances for you to be addicted to it. Right. And it's all backed by their own research trials, right? And it is something that's very powerful because I've connected with hella people. I think I connected with you before actually meeting you. I don't know how, but I met you like in person at Cal, but I know I connected somehow with you online. I forget how. But
and that's the power of it, right?
Yeah, there's a power in it. Like, I've connected with folks from Union City just through like IG and then getting them on the podcast. Like, shout out Drehu. And then it's like, it's just interesting what power it has for you to connect to people, but also at the same time, a pit you can get caught up in. Right? Like, bro, when I was in this relationship and that thing with Kaylani popped off where she posts a picture and then party next door, and then this whole influx of thinking that she cheated and shit like that. I remember spending time like an hour on my phone looking through comments, going back and forth between accounts, thinking, oh, did she cheat? And then that being replicated with my own suspicion of my partner, like, ooh, what's the possibility of them cheating? And then kind of juxtaposing that fear onto, like, projecting onto my partner in an unhealthy way. And that's all because of social media. So being aware of those, I know sometimes I have to step back. Like, I'll delete it sometimes if I see myself on it too much. So
I feel that it's a fine line.
It's like a tool, right? They say it's like a tool, but how do you use that tool? You're going to use the hammer to build a house or smash your wee-wee, right? Like, it's like, are you going to use it productively or is it going to hurt you, right? And it's like, we got to learn how to use the tool, right? And it's kind of crazy when it's too much. Right?
For sure.
All the damn thirst traps, man. And I catch myself on that, like liking a picture, then my homie sends...
Photograph. You heard that J. Cole song? Have you listened to J. Cole?
Fell in love off the photograph, bruh. That's just real. Like, but you don't. But the reality is, there's a whole person behind that, and you probably won't vibe. You probably I now know, like, some of my homegirls, they look fly on a photo, but then I know them as a person. I'm like, oh, they're just my friend. Like, I don't really, like, I don't see them that way, but they look fine on the photo. And then I'm pretty sure there are other dudes who be looking at that, but don't know them as a person, right? So it's like this disconnection, even if the tool is for connection.
That's real. It's a lot to take in, right? Because I think with how easy it is to access everything, right? We just, if it's there, we're gonna use it, right? And how can we bring a level of humanity? Really, that's what it is. How can we just bring it back to the human world, right? Like with Twitter and shit, you have equal amounts of funny ass memes and crazy ass shit that you get in the world, right? So it's like that's the use of it, right? The shit that'll take away the brain cells but also make you laugh.
Yeah.
And then the shit that will break your heart, right? Like all the shit going on in the world, man, it's crazy. And all the stuff that we see on Instagram, like we're so caught up in missing out on stuff, right? That I like at concerts I don't record them anymore.
Yeah, because everybody's just on their phone recording at concerts, bro. That's all they do, and then just post hella Snapchats of it, right? Like you ain't there, you ain't dancing. Yeah, I know you ain't dancing when you
too busy like this.
Yeah, but
to each their own, though, right? I think.
Because sometimes I do like watching it.
I'm like, fuck, I wish I was there. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Put my headphones in. I'm like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah, for sure. That's why, right? Like, it's a balance. There's a yin and yang to everything, right? It's all in mediation, right?
Yeah. It's just like, I guess, just like everything. Weed, alcohol. You drink too much, you'll get fucked up. You have a Red Horse once in a while with a homie. It's cool. Yeah. Right? It's just like
Shouts
weed.
Out to Red Horse.
Shout out to Red Horse. I have 2 in the fridge right now. Maybe later. I'm getting more allergic, bro.
Really?
The older I get, both my parents are allergic. And they get hives and stuff. But we've staved it off for a while. When I was younger, just drink, it's fine. We'll just build tolerance. Yeah. Now, after a beer or two, I get a headache. Like bad. Before it was like way until like 5 or 6 in. But now it's just one beer. Certain beers just hit my head like that. I'm like, no, I have to stay with like the Cabernet, the wines. It's a different hit, like for older people.
Yeah, dude. Alcohol just, I've had eczema all my life.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So eczema and alcohol they're not friends at all. Yeah. It drives me the fuck out. And I also get really red. So like it's just a bad mix.
Bro, I want you to go to the Philippines.
That's what my Lola been telling me that, bro.
I had like, 2 homegirls.
Just go into the water.
Bro, 2 homegirls, bad eczema out here, born and raised Bay Area.
Yeah.
Go to the Philippines. We were out there, especially in the province. The humidity cleared it. Beautiful copper skin just coming out, bro. No eczema, no medicine. They didn't use it at all. It was just beautifully, just because you're made for that climate. That's your homeland.
I ain't made for this fucking climate. I love you, Bay Area. Look, you see this shit right here, but goddamn, your weather hates me.
But that's why all the Filipinos out here in Daly City, because even if it's cold, it's foggy, fam. That's humidity. That's hydration.
Yeah. It's I do want to talk about. It's really interesting though, because eczema I think has been right, like with how our society is set up and what we look like. A lot of people are very caught up in like perfect skin.
Yeah.
Right? And I've always had like marks, scars on my elbows, just from like stuff that I've had growing up. And so learning to love myself in that way has been, I think, a journey, right? Because you could 95% of the time, regardless of the weather, I'm in a hoodie.
Yeah.
Just covering myself up.
Yeah.
So they recently developed this medicine. It's an injection, corticosteroid that you inject in your thigh. That in a certain amount of time, all of your eczema is supposed to clear up. A lot of my homies, a lot of my close friends are like, "Hey, you should try this." I'm like,
have they used it?
They have.
It worked for them?
It works for them, but I think because it's a weird thing. Even my parents too. They're like, "You want to consider it?" I was like, "We'll see." I think because it's been so closely tied to my identity. If I was to just fix it, it would be kind of like losing a piece of myself.
Interesting.
So learning how to love all of me, really, like, because I've had it since I was like 5.
Yeah.
Or no, younger than that, maybe. But learning how to appreciate and just like come into my skin in that way is another piece to it, right? Like having brown skin is one thing, but also having brown, itchy, and red skin at the same time, like it's weird.
Intersectionality.
No, it's yeah. So
I have a few friends with eczema, and then there's this perfect meme. It goes, "Real friends tell you to stop scratching your eczema." That's when you know they real.
Your closer friends help itch you.
I got you, fam. I got you.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, when you were talking about that though, what has helped you develop that self-love or self-acceptance? What's that process look like for you to get to that point? Because we can talk about self-love.
Yeah.
But what's that look like?
Looking in the mirror, just saying I love you.
Word.
Like
I do that too, once in a while.
Thank God for the day. First thing when I wake up, and then when I, wash my face, brush my teeth in the morning, saying I love you in my head, or just out loud too. One thing that my barber Richmond taught me, he shared with me. Yeah, shout out to Richmond, Crown City Cuts on Instagram. Hair Max.
How much?
35, 20 to 25 around there, depending. I don't know. Yeah, it depends.
Plus tip your barbers.
Tip your barbers always. You might fuck your hairline up the next time.
Looking like LeBron out here.
But one thing he shared with me, he's like, if ever you feel, stress or something like that, just close your eyes or sorry, not close your eyes, but just look at your hands, right? And just kind of just say like, okay, this is what my hands look like in the present moment. I'll turn them over. I have 5 fingers on each hand. I have a ring, 2 rings on my right. Just kind of pointing it out, right? Looking at, for me, it's like I have eczema on my wrists, and then just going. And then I close my eyes a little bit, and I just think about from the top down, going out to my extremities, what I feel, what I see. And so I think for a lot of my life, I kind of hid it from myself. And so, like, I remember over the summers, people would ask me, like, oh, dude, you're still sunburnt at this point in time? Because we would be out for the whole summer, right? Mm-hmm. Like 24/7, we're out in the sun practicing. So a lot of us get dark and toned and tan. And my skin would always have that red tint to it because I was itchy, not because I was sunburnt. And so I would low-key internalize that a lot. So I think now it's just learning how to just appreciate it for what it is. And like, this isn't something that completely defines me. It's just a part of me. And it's fine, right? Like, I think I've, with the help of a lot of close people, affirming that, look, what you got is nothing compared to what other people got. I have to constantly remind myself of that what I could have is something completely worse. I'm just thankful that it's not anything worse or chronic, I'm still able to walk. I'm still able to eat. Still able to breathe.
Like you in America compared to like rural Philippines, even, right?
Yeah, a lot of opportunities and blessings. So like, self-love also comes from practicing gratitude. Just practicing gratitude and saying sorry less. Like instead of saying, sorry for keeping you waiting, maybe just saying, or sorry, saying stuff like
thanks for waiting.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for me. Puts a lot less stress on my own mental. Self-love it takes way more effort than anything else.
It's like a habit that you gotta develop.
I think, bruh, organizing within the community for hella long, like at Berkeley and in high school too, I was constantly surrounded by people. So once graduation hit, I was just back home, me and my family, me and my partner, and it was a way different environment to be in, right? Because it's kind of like a culture shock. Of like, for 4 years straight, I was invested in being around people and being in that energy. And so learning how to cultivate a new relationship with myself, that's kind of been my journey lately. And it's never easy because you gotta sit with all the scary shit that you want to face on your own, right? I have to ask you.
Yes.
What are one of your biggest fears?
I know I think I was reflecting about this the other day. Like, being disappointment to my family. But the weird part is that they're never going to be disappointed in me because they're that Filipino family support shit. Yeah. Right? But knowing that I could have done more and disappointing myself because I didn't make them proud, especially my lolas, right, before they pass, right? That's one of my things. I'm getting emotional right now.
Yeah.
Like, now knowing that one of my grandma, Lola in LA, is like going through dementia and like has really pushed me to finish school, and I put it away for so long. So certain things like that where I won't be able to support my family, support my mom when she gets older, or my dad, that's one of my fears. But also like not doing the work on myself that I end up being a bad example for those coming up, like the younger men in my life, my little cousins, like on some real shit. Like I feel somewhat responsible sometimes when my little cousin be spewing shit that sounds just like me from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? But like I'm in a different place now, but I'm not there to model for him or to go through the work with him on the daily basis.
We evolve.
To transition, right? I want to be there for him to transition too, but he lives somewhere else, right? And so to think that my influence on them has had an impact to where they're not healthy right now, and then to think that I'm going to do that, I have the possibility of doing that to my future kids, because I definitely want kids in the future. But like I don't want to reproduce the same like bad habits, right, that I've done or my parents have done and things like that.
I think the first step is just, at least if you acknowledge what those fears are, then you can learn about what it takes to unlearn.
Yeah.
Right? Like that process of unlearning it first takes you to be fully conscious of what you want to change, right? For yourself first, right? Because outside of yourself, if you can't change it within you, like there's no way you can change it around you, right? So it's fully embodying that. And I think, well, you know, a lot of that expectation, is that something that they're putting on you or that we're putting on ourselves?
I would accept that it's kind of putting on myself, knowing my own capacity.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's kind of coming from understanding my own privileged life, right? Because like I'm able to immigrate here to the U.S., right? I'm able to be in this nice ass studio, and do these things, right? I ain't struggling with. I mean, I have debt now. Yay, school! But I mean, I ain't struggling in terms of like having to go out get hella loans, right? And knowing that I have been blessed with so much in comparison to even a generation before me who had shit, where they were growing the food that they had to eat, like little spinach, or just eating rice and soy sauce, right? And then seeing how far they've come from that, like, damn, if they can do that, I can definitely go leaps and bounds more and give back in that sense. And if I don't, I know I'll feel bad because I've already had some of those moments of reflection, right? And I'm like, oh, this is bad. But wait, let me transition and get you to sing for us. Because also I have to take a restroom break.
Okay.
So you'll sing while I take a restroom break.
Okay.
But I want to go back to the human, so no more of the instrumental. Give us the acoustic cover of that Daniel Caesar song, since you were talking about Daniel Caesar.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get some human into here. Because I was a little spoiled a while ago. I actually heard a little bit of it, and that shit was clean. Because this song, bro, has been stuck in my head the whole damn semester, even the whole year. And I've never sang the whole song completely. I just sing it through drought and famine, like throughout the day. And it's always stuck in my head. This is the first one that just goes into my head when I'm just walking around campus. It's a hella good song. Hella good song. So let me get this closer. And then you will bless us with this acoustic rendition. My boy.
Little tuna action. drought and famine, natural disasters. My baby has been around for me. Kingdoms have fallen, angels be calling. None of that could ever make me leave. Yes, every time I look into your eyes, I see you're all I need. Yeah. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Oh, who might have thought I'd get you? Oh yes, oh yeah, baby. Who might have thought I'd get you? And when we're making love, yeah, your cries, they can be heard from far and wide. It's only the two of us, hey. And everything I need between those thighs, hey. Every time I look into your eyes, I see you're all I need. Yeah. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Oh, who might have thought I'd get you? I'll take some time just to be thankful that I had days with you. Oh, before it winds down into the memories. It's those memories. Oh, got someone like you love when I come around. Hey, build you up and I take you down. Don't you love when I come around? Build you up and I take you. Who might have thought I'd get you? This feels like summer. Girl, you make me feel so alive. Just be my lover. Girl, you lead me to paradise.
That was Daniel Caesar. Do you know Daniel Caesar is actually Filipino? His real name is Niko. Shut the fuck
up. Shouts out to Daniel Caesar.
As Niko was saying, he doesn't want to be in the spotlight, so he has somebody else.
It's hard. You know what I found myself doing is like, telling Twitter and Instagram, I'm going on a hiatus, and then I don't do it. You know,
what do you mean telling? You'll post there.
I'll post about it.
That
like, I'll see you later type shit, and then it's like, boy, you ain't getting
like
off
2 days. 2 days later, you're like,
to it.
fuck, I need to tell someone this.
Yeah.
I feel you. I've done that a few times. Like, the only time that I actually followed through with it was I deleted because I needed to submit an essay, and then I was on my IG for too much, and then a friend of mine was like, yo, delete IG, you ain't down until you submit your essay. I was like, okay, fine. And then I did that shit. Then I was like, I finished the essay because I wanted to be back on IG. But it worked. But it's a pull. It's a drug.
Yeah.
Because I think it's also playing on the most important drug and emotion of humanity, which is connectivity and
love.
connecting with people.
It's a drug that you could be addicted to.
Yes,
It's love, right? Like it's getting caught up in that and using it in unhealthy ways and trying to find ways in which we could use it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but you realize it's not something that's, you can't just buy it at the store, you know? Like it takes investment. It takes trust, being able to build that. And I've broken that. And like trying to rebuild that is one of the hardest things to do.
What broken? What?
Trust. Yeah. Cause I've been selfish, right? Like, and that is not cool, you know. And I think that's a one-way ticket to lose the people that you love most is by breaking their trust and being dishonest.
Lying is the #1 killer of any relationship.
And I've been there. I've done that.
I believe so.
I've done that because I saw a lot of it growing up, and I thought it was okay unconsciously. But learning that any truth is less painful than any story or falsehood that you create. That is something that you could say to somebody, but they probably won't realize it until they actually see the fate of lying play itself out. And that's what it was for me.
Lying just has like this long-term. It's a snowball.
Yeah.
It's those old sayings of one lie will snowball into another. That shit's real.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize until you're in it.
Yeah.
Like, God damn, this is
I
all
can't
around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all it takes is just one.
I always say like, bro, my memory ain't good, so I won't remember my lies, so might as well tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you have to remember all the things you said.
That's real.
To stay in line with your lie.
That. Like,
right?
Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's something that I don't think a lot of people realize. Maybe they won't ever realize. Right? Like, they're just so quick to lie.
Because I think...
And I've fallen into that habit. And it's not... I realize it for myself. I'm like, now I'm in a space of, like, through therapy.
Yeah.
Especially learning what it means to actually be 100% honest and truthful. So that I can cultivate a stronger relationship for myself. Like...
You know, the danger of it, I just remembered the experience of lying so much about something. I forgot what the topic was, what I lied about, but I remember around when I was 18 or 19, I was trying to stunt, right? I was always trying to be cool going out and stuff. And I remember lying about something repeatedly because I wanted to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Then a few months later, I realized that I was actually believing it.
Yeah.
I actually believed my lie until I realized, wait, that was a fucking lie.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wow, I'm just deluding myself.
Right.
And those were one of the moments where like, whoa, this shit is dangerous because you're lying to yourself. And that's like the most unhealthy thing to do.
Yep.
Because like there's no improvement there.
Yeah.
There's no growth.
Yeah.
When you lie to yourself, you can't improve and everything.
Yeah. And I agree.
Yeah.
Like for me too is telling myself like, now from this point forward, like I'm only gonna tell the truth as I know it.
Yeah. There's this book, 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements, and the very first one is be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
And that one includes not lying, right?
Yeah.
Not gossiping as the other ones, like, and really realizing that our words have power to create or to destroy.
And I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
In many different situations of saying hurtful shit, especially, and not being conscious of how it would hurt, right? Because I was too selfish to understand that. I mean, we live and we learn, and there's a lot to it that I haven't shared, obviously, like that I'm still trying to fully realize for myself.
Yeah.
But man, it's an ongoing process, and shouts out to the real people that stick by your side to support you through that. Yeah. Shouts out to
who say it, be specific.
No, that's personal.
I want to get touch on a certain topic.
Okay.
You went from James Logan, you went straight to Berkeley.
Yes.
What was that initial reaction? Because like James Logan, for context, Union City, just a very working class community, especially the Filipino community there. Yeah. There's a lot of working class families.
Yeah, working class, low to middle income. Yeah. But my parents are both nurses, and so they be classified middle income. I think I've been blessed and fortunate to have and to realize and recognize those experiences. Yeah. That I've had many opportunities that I think maybe I've taken for granted growing up, and then anyway. Going straight into Berkeley, that shit was crazy. Like, you do well. I did relatively well in high school. I think school was like one of the things where I knew how to do well because I was the eldest. Always being told do well in school. And I always wanted to set a good example for my two siblings.
How much younger are the two siblings?
So I'm 23. My sister just is 17.
Oh, that's a gap.
And my brother is 9.
Oh, there's a gap.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So
is it with different parents or same?
My parents, yeah, it's the same parents, both my dad and my mom. So initially I had wanted to go down to SoCal, but then stuff started to pop off with my family, and when I had applied to Berkeley, I just kind of did it on a whim. I know for some people it's a school like their dream school.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't really know too much about it. I didn't really know anything about when I was just applying to schools and stuff. Even though my parents had the privilege of going to college, they didn't really tell me too much about the process of what it was like to get in, to apply, things to look out for, things to consider when choosing a school. So when I chose Berkeley, thank you. Thank you for looking at my arm, telling me not to scratch.
When you chose Berkeley.
Fuck no, I'm itchy.
I got CeraVe, bro.
I'll get some in a bit. Thank you. Yeah. Love you, KuyaChris. Yeah. You're the best. Thank you for having me. So when I got into Berkeley, it was a trip. I was a spring admit, so I got admitted into as a spring admit. So I was like, first of all, I was like, this is dope. But second of all, why do I have to wait a semester to get in?
Yeah.
And so.
What was that experience like in terms of coming from? I just want to contextualize it in terms of like
Logan?
Union City, right? That working class, like, all right, you in a very predominantly Filipino space, and then you go to Berkeley, which is predominantly white institute still. 20, I think they're 24% now, and then Filipinos are just 3%, right? And this is a very prestigious school in terms of like its notoriety.
Yeah.
Right? What was that transition like for you?
I think it fed into my ego a little bit. I think I didn't realize until much later. Just kind of, I was like, I thought I was hot shit. I was like, oh, I made it into Berkeley, but also like I earned this. I was trying to work hard to get into a good school. But also knowing like this degree is not just for me, it's for my parents and also my siblings. But that kind of got twisted in like me trying to learn about that. But coming from Union City, that humbled me a lot because taking it to the classroom, taking it to the institution, right? You don't see that shit. And, Berkeley is still the Bay, but being in the campus, it's like...
It's its own world.
It's its own world.
Yeah.
It's its own world of seeing all these different folks and, seeing how systemically and historically all these inequities have been put into place.
Continue to replicate themselves.
And continue to replicate themselves. And so I think it was super unique, though, having a strong identity of what it's meant to be Filipino prior to going to Berkeley, because I think for a lot of folks, their first inclination is to learn what it means to be Filipino at Berkeley. And tied with that is a very institutional identity. And I think I've only realized that and reflected on that maybe within the last year of being away from it.
Like, how come you had that strong Filipino identity? And do you like identify yourself as Filipino American?
Yeah.
What do you like to use? Pilipinx? Pinoy?
Yeah. Sorry, Joseph is texting me. Shouts out to the boy, Seth.
Joseph. Seth, stop distracting. Bro, you're gonna be here later. Stop it.
I told him to just come through. Just come kick it with us or some shit.
This fool. Stop distracting. You'll be on the podcast next. He was episode 2, I think.
Really?
Episode 2 or 3, something, one of those earlier ones.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just identify as Filipino, but the institutional identity is Pilipinx, right? Like that's for me. I identify just as being Filipino.
Well, how come you had that? Like, what was that? Was it some cultural thing in Union City? Was it your parents? Like, what's that identity of Filipino?
I grew up in basically Filipino Advocates for Justice, which is they have a branch, or they have an office in Union City called PYC, which is Filipino Youth Coalition, and that's where I think I got a lot of my initial organizing experience. A lot of those identity workshops, a lot of the language about growing in a grassroots organization.
Did you do like their high school programming? Like, what is that?
I didn't do their high school program. I was only part of the after school program. So like every Wednesday we would chill at the office from like 5:30 to 7, and we would go kick it and do workshops for like 1.5 to 2 hours every Wednesday after middle school, after high school, and that was fun because that's where I kind of got to learn what it was like to be Filipino in the Bay, and also learning how to strengthen that identity, and also learn more about what it's like in the homeland, having not been there myself, so it's crazy. It's crazy, but also a blessing because I was able to, growing up Filipino in the Bay is a very unique thing.
Yep.
And it's very fluid too, because you kind of, all of the intergenerational ties, all the intergenerational differences, that's that all kind of factors into your own lived experience. So Berkeley was kind of different, right? Because we often get twisted up in that idea of just being 3% of the campus when there's so many of us in California. But I think,
what do you mean we get twisted? Like in terms of that 3%, is it just the focus on that? Like, what's now being out of the space? How do you see the Filipino space, Pilipinx space at Cal, at Berkeley? What would you have done differently when you were there, or approached differently?
I think
because for context, I know you were on staff for
3 years.
For PASS, that's the Pilipinx Academic Student Services. It's one of the main recruiting retention orgs, right? At Cal, and you were on staff for 3 years.
Yeah. There are so many organizations, Pil orgs on campus that I think a lot of the ways in which the organizations function, we unconsciously just get siloed into those different specific communities. And we always talk about being one strong community, when really, maybe the only space in which we find that is in PCN. Right?
It's true. Filipino Culture Night, shout out.
Right? Like, and we don't really, we're just so caught up in our own thing, right? That we have the one common identity of being part of that 3% potentially. But how do we get out of just talking about that and just learning how to celebrate who we are as people and bring all of our different lived experiences together to actually bring a wholesome experience to the fucked up institution that we're experiencing. Right? Like, the more we talk of broken stories are one thing, right? But if we continue to perpetuate those, then what are we doing to break that cycle? You know? And that's a hard thing. My best friend talked to me about, we had a really good conversation about the idea of using terms like, you know, low income, marginalized, disadvantaged, disproportionate, underserved, those things. And mainly those terms are really used for funding, right? Like nonprofits use it as key terms and phrases for people to latch onto so that funders can give them money. When are we going to ever come to a point in the education system where we have to stop talking about our broken stories and just tell it as we are with our lived experiences, right? I can't say I've had too many broken stories because, like I said, I've had many, you know, points of privilege, right? And learn how to recognize those things is step one. But it's, I think, a conversation that has to be fully fleshed out, right? Like, and it's a hard concept to try to come out of when you're organizing. That's what you use, right? Like, we constantly organize and talk about being a part of living in the margins, when it's like the way in which this person put it, and I definitely agree with, is that, does it mean that we all live outside of the lines of the paper, when really we all kind of live it in the same way? And when we come into the center of the margins and outside of those, does that mean that everything around us kind of just happens to be okay and comes to an ideal situation? Not, because it's years of historical
exclusion and
so
it's an interesting line between of like assessing the issues but not getting caught up in it,
right?
And then like creating the glory that you want or that you can, like, what's the narrative? That are we always just going to be asking for piecemeals, right?
People are whole people, bro. Like, you have to stop your presumptions. Like, when you're learning how to educate students, for instance, what are you coming to the table with? Are you coming to the table as an outsider? Have you lived their experiences before? Or are you just going to presume everything that you know about them before you even get to know their name? And so, I don't know. Like, Berkeley was a very dope experience. That whole conversation could be pinned for something else, right? Like another time, because that could be a whole 2 hours in and of itself. But Berkeley, you know, it was a we always say is a privilege to go to. I like to frame it as, you know, the institution is always privileged to have us to be a part of it, right? Not that we're privileged. We're privileged to be a part of the campus, but the people around us are privileged to share with each other, and that's what makes the school, you know, the classroom at least, worthwhile.
What did you study?
Public health and Asian American studies. Initially, I was pre-med, and I was like, "Fuck that," and I had to
pre-health now.
But that took a lot of conversations to be had. Even now, my mom's asking if I'm still gonna be a doctor, which I don't know.
That's the real coming out, right, of a Filipino. Mama, I'm not going to be a nurse or a doctor. I just, Lord, why? You're trying to kill me.
That's for real, bro. Like, even more so, I think, with my grandparents, maybe. And as a creative, it's hard to instill that, but I'm blessed to still have their support as people in my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Nay. Lola, Lolo. Sorry po. I'm not the nurse you wanted, but I sing really well.
Thank you. But yeah, it's Berkeley was a dope time. I met some really great people. I had some really dope experiences. Learned a lot. Learned a lot outside of the classroom too.
Can you talk to me a little bit about Soul Vision? I know Soul Vision is birthed out of Berkeley and the students there.
Soul Vision is a music collective started by two folks, Abraham Padilla and Paulo Joaquin. The two of them, Abe plays trumpet, keys, and he raps. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Paulo raps, produces, plays drums. They started Soul Vision back in 2015, just as the both of them to just perform and create music. And later on, for MMBC, I think the following year, which is the Medical Mission Benefit Concert put on by PAC, which is one of the health career organizations for the PIL community. Abe and Paulo asked myself and Nilbert to help perform, so I played bass and then Nilbert played sax. Since then, we've kind of just been taking on new members, and it's a collective of producers and DJs and just creatives. We haven't sat down in a while to just sit and plan, but it's honestly just a good space for us to learn how to take care of ourselves through a creative outlet and voicing our experiences growing up, where we come from, and then kind of finding the common ground of being in the Bay, in Berkeley, in that school in particular, and using art as a way to kind of put a voice to our experiences. But I love them. They're my people. Like they really are my second family. It'll be interesting to kind of see where it takes off.
What do you see yourself doing in terms of creativity, like moving forward from now? What do you want to do? What do you envision?
I've been DJing a lot lately. DJing has been hella fun, actually. Just getting a crowd moving. And I think I have an ear for different types of music. And so it'll be cool to kind of see where that flows and where that goes. I want to put out more mixes. Listen to a whole lot more different music from all different types of genres, just to kind of get my ear acclimated to it. So I think for the past couple of months, I've just been focusing on DJing a whole lot. What's that?
When you say like different music, there's something beautiful about that, because I can get caught up in a specific genre. Like I just want hip hop and rap and R&B at the most, right? And then I had this one friend who sent me a playlist, and then she'd be saying, "Oh, you're gonna see my white girl side, right?" I was like, "What? What does that mean?" And then it was like all music I would never listen to, like some by Harry Styles, and I was like, but some of it was fucking good. Like this acoustic shit. I found hella new people just through the playlist, and it really is kind of a beautiful experience to discover new shit that is not within my spectrum of experience or interest generally, but hits sonically, like hits something in terms of my emotions and like what I vibe with. And it's a whole experience to like discover it and to go through and listen to new music again and again. So I think that's dope.
That's part of being a good producer, is keeping your ear open to different shit, right? And that's one of my challenges for myself, is making sure I'm open to as much as possible, and learning how to say yes to just different genres. A lot of my current music, Selection be putting out some really crazy stuff.
Selection, yes.
And it's literally the future.
You think so? You think so? That's
part of it. I think there's a newer generation of folks that are coming that have maybe started by listening to Selection and are creating their own wave of music now. But
I like how Selection has a very smooth jazz, soul, and R&B, like that kind of, without too much of the heavy trap drums. Right? It's a very smooth drums, but it's a wide range also.
Man, they are a group of folks that really know what it means to be a collective, right? And that's one thing that I think Soul Vision is trying to learn how to do, is to actually see what it takes to be a successful group of musicians and artists. We just don't have the tools or knowledge just yet, so we're trying to patiently create that and learn about that. But I guess in terms of myself, a little bit more DJing for sure. Producing a little bit more, trying to learn how to play a little bit more piano. I feel like I haven't. I need that foundation. And then writing more. I think just getting more in the habit of keeping a journal on me so that I can write more lyrics and stuff. I'm not the strongest lyrically. I can sing a melody and create chords and create a song, but I can't write lyrics. That's like
Not yet.
Not yet.
We about to see it though.
Yeah,
right?
Hopefully.
I want to see more music from you, bro. Especially the singing shit.
Yeah,
man, that should be smooth.
Thank you.
And I'm expecting like an EP next year, or something like that.
Yeah, it's
like just to get it moving.
It's coming. Yeah.
Some that new harana. You need to create songs that the up and comers be singing on the ukulele.
Yeah.
Right? Because you need to give them those tools to harana, bro.
Yeah.
Right? That's your responsibility. That's how you give back to the next generation, man.
That's true.
Huh?
That's true.
Right? You've been served by Gabe Bondoc and Passion. You need to give back, right?
That's
because
part
they
of it.
already married and doing their thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's something beautiful though about when I see kids. I see them at Ceremony Mall with their ukulele. I'm like, yeah, boy.
That's crazy, bro. I haven't seen that in a while,
really?
bro.
Oh, they're still going strong, especially in these Daly City schools like Jefferson, Westmore, South City. There's at least a few that just lug their ukulele around.
Yeah.
And some are hella talented too when they sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, boy, like there's a future, but you about to be a nurse, huh? I had a few students when I was doing the after school sessions.
Yeah.
They were planning on doing nursing, but then they would sing when we have our creative nights and stuff. Like, damn, son, it's in our blood.
Yeah.
There's something musical about our culture and about our people that like really embraces that. I'm not sure why. There must be some deep rooted shit of like, some people have theorized that that is one way of survival of ourselves under colonialism, where you have to have some form of survival, of representation, of being able to be you. But if you actually notice, it's not violent, right? You won't get mad at a person singing, right? But it's their way of still surviving after hundreds of years of Spain, like telling you when to work and all that. So
We've
maybe
been colonized by too many people, bro.
Yeah, I know. Now being colonized by our own people, on some capitalist shit. Big businesses be running it in the Philippines. So it's kind of crazy when you also get a different perspective. Because I would share that, you know how you'd be talking about privilege? Like, even if I grew up in the Philippines, we were like middle class.
Yeah.
Like, definitely not poor, rural.
Yeah.
But leaving the Philippines, living life as a brown person here in the US, then and seeing the differences there, the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Then going back to the Philippines is a trip because you see the hierarchy that is so blatant in your face based on class, based on even how brown your skin is, how well you dress. It's so real that it's almost like a copy and paste of systematic inequalities in the U.S. to the Philippines, but just different placeholders, different identity placeholders of how well you speak English. And
Philippines has fallen in love with the
America.
West.
Yeah, basically America. It's a mix of both opportunity. You understand it because a lot of people want to move here because it is a better life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's rooted in the occupation, the colonial, the violence of imposing. Like, bruh, shout out to David Barrows, where there's Barrows Hall in Berkeley, where he believed in the scientific inferiority of Filipinos. He set up or helped set up the colonial educational system in the Philippines. Because he believed they're inherently not capable to reach the same standards of white men. And that's what they believed. It's crazy. And there's a building named after him.
It's real. I think I don't know. I hope, for me personally, I can hopefully tap back into working closely with the Pil community again. I think after working in a nonprofit that's not really focused in that for so long, it's a lot that I really just want to hopefully get back into. I think it's one piece of my professional, personal life that I'm missing out on that I really need to tap back into.
Is the Filipino community in the area?
Yeah, because it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because I could just be caught up in Filipino hip hop in America and what that looks like. But I don't know. I would love to just create music that can be loved by everybody. And it could just get you to groove, right? Like, that's my goal. And if I could get people to dance, that would be so cool. And not just...
So it'll be loved by everybody, so more mixed babies, more...
No.
When these Filipinos get these Filipinos with the... deconstruct the what's it called? The feminization of Asian males.
Oh my God.
Do the reverse Jet Li.
That's so real.
Yeah, I just bring that up because I posted about this book, Asian American Men and Women, and it talked about the fetishization of Asians, but specifically Asian women, hypersexualization of Asian women. At the same time, the emasculinization or the feminization of men, of Asian men specifically, while still both reinforcing the white superiority of white male,
right?
Like as the prime attractive partner,
right?
And you see that in Silicon Valley, where the most common relationship you'll see is white male and Asian female. But
that's real.
That's real. I mean, we both went to war with Vietnam and Korea, right? America has those roots in there, and then you have it's too much sometimes. I just want to stop talking about it.
It could be.
I just want to run up Bruce Lee with his. But then that's also like coming to the U.S. I hyper glorified white women. Like I always wanted a white girlfriend. Like in middle school, I was like that one blonde girl. Like I was just glorifying them. And that has its roots in like every artista, every media celebrity in the Philippines is light skinned and looks American. Right. So all these historical repercussions, but at the end of the day, I just want to harana. I just need to get off Instagram and do my work.
I mean, there's a lot. It's just a matter of prioritizing what we need to do in our life.
I feel you. So, getting to the end, I like wrapping up with 3 specific questions. Or 3. I want to, with a specific question, asking what are 3 specific pieces of advice that you would give to your younger self in this context. Let's give the vision of this dude up in Union City, like Filipino, trying to find his thing, maybe getting into music a little bit, but also taking into account, right, what you shared about how you've reproduced certain bad habits, like based on your own family, personal history, things like that. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to little Niko?
Speak your truth. That's one. That's a big one, actually. 2, practice music more.
Scales is a
scales and technical application. 3, show love and gratitude. I think I was always caught up in just trying to be a certain way or be somebody that I was not. That I think I could have showed a little bit more gratitude with people around me, and my family. Not that I was like rude, but those are moments that you take for granted that I don't think you could take back. Those would be my 3. I think.
Can you expound what you mean by speak your truth? Like, how do you find that truth?
100% honesty, being diplomatic in what in what you share with, and finding the right time and place to do so. But speaking in honesty and acting upon that, I think I've unconsciously taken those maybe unhealthy behaviors and acted upon those, whether it's recently or years ago. And maybe used word in a way to like manipulate an outcome. I feel like control is one of those things that, you know, learn how to relieve that. Like SZA's album where she was talking about control and how when we lose control we kind of just go crazy, right? Like that's a big piece. Like as an artist, what you create is what you have complete control over, but that's not what life is like. You know, that's a very big writing point, is learning how to let go of that, and learning how to speak your truth is one way to stay in line with what's going on in the world. Because you know you could literally dissociate from yourself if you keep perpetuating unhealthy behaviors or feeding yourself or others lies. That's not fair. You get a half-assed experience. You know, very muted and not fully aware or conscious of what's going on.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel that. Thanks for sharing, brother. How can people get in contact with you if they want to collab, sit with a brother? What's the best way?
Find me on Instagram and Twitter at Niko Stephen, Niko Stephen. Niko space Stephen on Facebook and SoundCloud.com/Niko Stephen. Give me a follow.
Hey, his SoundCloud has got this new like Latin one, bruh. We're gonna close it off with that.
Okay,
I'll play it out. You gonna freestyle over it a little bit?
I can't. Oh, well, we'll see.
We'll see. You can do some vocal melodies.
Okay,
you're gonna vocal melody some of that shit.
Yeah,
and then we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll play a little guitar over it. I don't know.
Ooh, okay. Do you have any last messages for anybody?
Last message.
Closing remarks from Niko Stephen. Pilgrad once again. Your 40-second speech.
Oh my God. Shit. Give thanks. Share love. Peace, honesty, respect.
Peace, honesty, respect, baby. I'll play this. Are you ready with your guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's play. So this is called Obrigado.
Decaps. It's an ode to a Brazilian duo who make really dope baile music. A lot of my influences come from Sango, who's a selection artist. Uses a lot of Brazilian sounds and stuff, so I just kind of fucking flipped the sample on its head. This is one of my more electronic based music, but with a really dope groove. So hope y'all like it.
Okay. Yeah.
This shit crazy. Woo. I made this shit when I was just hella tired. I was like, I gotta put something out.
To all my Latinas out there.
Hey.
Hey.
Check.
Bro, we ain't gonna let it end like that with just a little. Run that back one more. Now it's all vocal freestyle. Kill it.
I don't know how to scat, but you know, Masego be doing
Nah,
it.
you got it, bro. That shit was clean. We need a whole 2.5 minutes for that. You can't just end it like that.
Hey, I love this song. Actually, I don't know what the sample is. One, two. Hey, shouts out, KuyaChris, you the best.
Hey,
you the front.
Niko
I don't know how to freestyle,
Stephen.
but you freestyle, bro.
I'ma go rip it. I'm gonna go speed it. Grab that ticket. Are you ready to rock with us? I'm with it. I just wanna keep on winning. This guy's scatting. All the music he be blasting, outlasting. I was think he outlandish. That just jazzy bebop shit. Man, it's snappy. I just wanna be with that hit. Feel it go. Flames! Woo! Thanks for coming on, brother. Killed that shit.
Bro,
Ooh, that was some freestyle shit. Ooh, that scatting, that's some melodic. I'm gonna get on my scales now, fam. Yeah, talk to me in a year.
Bro, when I'm creating, I'm just like, okay, this shit don't. I have like a general idea. I just be spitballing. Like, I seen an interview of John Mayer. When he's creating songs, he'll just like create a basic chord structure and just like hum. Or really big influences like him for guitar, and then Pharrell just like sonically, like he'll just sing a melody. There's a video on YouTube of him doing this beat with Chad Hugo.
Filipino shout out.
Yeah, Filipino shout out. The motherfucker crazy. But he'll like put out the basis foundation of the track, and then Pharrell just like and it's like gibberish through the words, and then eventually just find a melody that will fit in the pocket of the song. But I don't know, that's just kind of like my creative process, is just trying to put out random shit, see what I'm feeling in the moment, and hopefully find therapy through what I create and have it be wholesome. But thank you for having me, man. It's
Thanks
been a
for
long time coming,
man.
bro.
Long time coming.
It's been a blessing to cross paths with you finally, bro.
No, man.
The other side of the bay.
And randomly at Cal, that was some chance shit.
It's meant to be, bro. That's what it is. It's one of those things where it's like, we go finally.
Bruh. And we talking about love. That's the highlight. We know we Filipino. We talk about music and love.
Yeah, I could do it all day.
Episode 2. The love episode. We'll have more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Cause that's some real shit. We need we need to have a circle of men talk about love. Like we'll have a few more come up in here, and we talk about the different aspects, the mistakes learned, and what we trying to do for the future, for the next generation. Not to be fuckboys, but to be like men on their shit, on healing, that appreciate the beauty of the experience.
It starts with ourselves, dude. And being honest is what we need to work on.
True. Peace. Thanks, brother.
Peace.